The first episode of the show will be broadcast on Tuesday, April the 17th, so that's this Tuesday coming. And we and Julian together are really hoping this is going to be an explosive new show. I can't tell you the name of the first guest. You'll have to tune in yourselves to find that out on Tuesday. But I can tell you that they are all opinion formers, some of them dissidents, and some of them have never been interviewed before on English language television. The first guest is particularly controversial and, according to Julian in the wake of the interview, highly charismatic. So do tune in and find out what that's all about. I met with him recently and I talked all about the show, how he chose his guests, why he decided to do it. And of course, he's spent a lot of time sitting on the other side of the interviewer's desk. And he told me a bit about his disenchantment, really, with the mainstream media and why he chose RT to broadcast first this show.
The things that we have been trying to report have not been carried accurately in the mainstream press. When we look at international networks, there's really only two that are worth speaking about, and that is RT and Al Jazeera.
Coincidentally or not, this week coming up, the week in which the first show is going to be broadcast, is really a week of anniversaries for him, both personal and professional. It's going to be 500 days since the investigation into these allegations of sexual assault by two Swedish women began. Now, we've seen that the request for his extradition go through the courts here in the UK, right up to the Supreme Court, and that case finished at the beginning of February. That's 10 weeks ago now, and we still don't have a verdict. We are expecting it possibly to come next week, but there's still no set date for that verdict to be handed down. And still, after 500 days, no charges have been laid against him. It's also 500 days since the WikiLeaks bank accounts were first frozen. So that has made funding for WikiLeaks very difficult and threatening that whistleblowing organisation altogether. And really, that's what makes this programme so unique, the fact that it was conceived of, thought of, while Assange was virtually living under house arrest here in Britain, awaiting this verdict on his extradition.
There's two reasons. First of all, being under house arrest for so long, it's nice to have an occasional visitor and, you know, to learn more about the world. And given that the conversations we were having are quite interesting, why not film it and show other people what was going on? So that's one reason. The second reason is that as someone who's given a lot of interviews before, and it's been on the receiving end of very aggressive interview styles, I found that I wasn't giving much away in these interviews at all. That pretty quickly you learn to just give your sort of standard defensive responses, so people don't take what you've said out of context. And I want to have a different sort of approach with other people. And why that approach has been difficult in some ways, I think it has also succeeded in other ways, and that we've revealed sides of very interesting and important people that are not normally revealed, because they're not dealing with a standard interviewer. They're dealing with someone who's under house arrest, who has gone through political problems that they can sympathise with.
So you can see the full version of that interview on Monday, the 16th of April, and that will be followed hot on the heels by the first episode of the programme on Tuesday, the 17th of April. We're still awaiting the verdict on Julian Assange's extradition, but we are quite glad that he's managed to make this programme before whatever happens to him happens to him. Obviously, his main fear has always been that he will be extradited from Sweden to the US.